Mike Bradley is the mayor of Sarnia, Ontario, one of those key border towns in Ontario with the U.S. Hey, Mike, good to see you. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you, Todd.
You know, there's a whole lot of confusion about what this will mean and will not mean for our country, how the tariffs are going to play out, what sort of carve-outs we might get. What's your take, Mike? I know you've been following it as well very closely.
Well, Todd, it's a little different than some of the other speakers you've had on here today and politicians. I didn't see yesterday as a victory for Canada. We still have the auto steel issues to deal with, those tariffs. And even witnessing the Secretary of Commerce today, there's no mercy there towards Canadians. And, we talk a lot about elbows up. Well, Gordie Howe also knew how to use those elbows. And that's what we need to look at. We need to be all in on this. And I do appreciate the United Front, with a few exceptions across this country. But this is just, as the Prime Minister said today, the pain is ahead of us. And I just hope as Canadians, we will accept the fact that we're going to suffer economically and socially in the weeks and months ahead. But it's not going to get better by the policies of appeasement. And if you remember before the Second World War, there was that phony war for a few months before they really got to the war. We're now in the real economic terrorism, as I call it, from the United States. Mayor of a border city, worked closely for 40 years with them, and now they're no longer our friends, they're our neighbors. And that is sad. But we can't regret that. It's time to move on, develop all in Canadian industry and trade policies, and do it as quickly as we possibly can. And as a border city, just saw 2 miles down the road in Windsor there, a major auto plant shut down for a couple of weeks with the suggestion it may happen again and again, putting a lot of people out of work.
Yeah,
this is now real.
How about that?
It's now real.
Yeah, how about that, Mike? The Stellantis plant saying they're going to temporarily shut down for 2 weeks anyway. That's going to affect about 3,600 Canadian workers. A plant will be closed for a month in Mexico. Upwards of 1,000 American workers will also be affected who work for Stellantis. We know Stellantis is perhaps the most exposed, has the highest, issues when it comes to this kind of thing, the tariff war against cars. But nevertheless, is that a sign of things to come?
It is a sign of things to come. I'm even getting rumblings locally about a possible shutdown of a major industry in this community. I hope it's not true. I hope it can be resolved. But that's just going to continue on a daily basis. And that is the sad part, that it's our neighbors who are doing this to us. And so, this all-in approach is needed. And that also means being a little bit more tougher, fighting back. And yes, we will feel the pain. But the reality is the softly approach is not working.
Mike Bradley joining us from Sarnia. He is the mayor of Sarnia, Ontario. Mike, I appreciate your time as always, and we'd love to talk to you in the days to come.